upstairs to take a vote, and they need us for a quorum. So I'm here to support John. I'm with 5470 and been involved with the RILA program. This is going on my 4th year. Last year I was very blessed to be able to attend Dave's and Rocky Mountain RILA. And they were very generous, and Dave and Kurt, and they were very generous in hosting both Carol Bach. Most of you know her as Dr. Bach. She runs our RILA program, took it over a couple of years ago, and has literally begun to transform it. Prior to that, it was run by, it was done down in the valley in southern Colorado. This last few years, we've taken on a new flavor. John, I'm not sure what he has on his PowerPoint here, so I don't want to steal too much thunder, but I'm going to want to interject in there to support his presentation. I can say this, that I believe RILA is the premier youth program that Rotary has. I've been involved in nonprofit and social ministry work for approximately 40 years. And this is one of the best programs that I've seen around. I also would like to see it expanded. It's like education or most other programs, it's always the issue of funding. So I think that we're going to have to look at creative ways to raise funds to support our kids. Because I am of the belief that, like a good parent, you find out what your kids like. And then you try to figure out ways to fund that and support them in their journeys. And I feel it's the same thing with this, with our RILA students. You know, it's not a lack of, it's not a challenge to get kids into the program. The challenge is how do we fund them and take care of them financially, whether it's a 2 or 3 day program or a whole week long. When Carol and I went to the Rocky Mountain RILA, we attended both their senior program and their youth, the young RILA program. And they both have so many benefits to support our youth. We're currently in District 5470 exploring ways to see how we can improve our program and expand it. As it stands now, we hire a staff. And while that to some degree is great, it really limits us because they will only take so many students. We have a great venue that we do this at, and I think you might have some of those pictures and that sort of thing. But again, they do a wonderful job. They don't lack in experience and knowledge and training, but I personally don't feel that it's really Rotary run. It's run by their staff, and so there's some limitations with that. I'd like to see more Rotarians involved. I met John 3 years ago at Rotary, and those that have been involved develop a passion for it, and I think that we need to, in our district anyway, look at enrolling and engaging more of our Rotarians to do a buy-in into the program. So that's part of what I'm looking at doing. We started 3 years ago with the New Generations movement, and then, as you know, they turned around and kind of took that out, and now they have a youth services committee or whatever. I've started developing a program in the Pikes Peak area where we have 8 Rotary clubs to focus on these new generations and the 4 components within that, the new generations, which is the Interact RILA, Rotaract, and Youth Exchange. And so we formed a collaboration or a council, if you will, of members from the various clubs to kind of build a seamless approach to working with these programs, because you know, you have individual programs out there, and we have to look at ways to involve the kids and engage them throughout all of Rotary, starting with maybe a Young Rider program. So in any regard, I don't know how long this presentation is, but I can speak more to it. I've been discussing some things with Kurt and Dave in terms of what we may be able to do in collaboration. I'm a big consensus builder and collaboration type of guy. I think we're all in this together to make this a better Rotary and a better planet and a better place for our kids. And for me, it's all about our youth and our kids and building them and providing things for the future. I can tell you that if it wasn't for my youth leadership development programs when I was young, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. And we can go there some other time. And I can share some of the things that I've done in those 40 years in youth development. But go ahead, John.
Okay, our program, in order to get the word out, we put together a brochure, which we try to get out in the high schools, the counselors in the high schools, try to get it out in places where kids can find out about it. What part of our problem is getting the word out to kids to even know about the program. We use our alumni. Those are some of our best ambassadors because they know the kids that are coming behind them that are good candidates. So we put together a brochure that we put out. That goes out to the schools. The other thing we try to do is get word out through the newspapers and news organizations that this thing is out there and we're looking for people that are interested in it. So we put together sort of a sample of the news release which we can put out. It doesn't go to everybody. I mean, it's just some clubs, some areas pick it up, others don't. We have a nomination form that we put out. We can also nominate from within the clubs. And we ask the clubs to do nominations. A lot of the clubs don't. We don't have the connections to the kids in the school. Most of us have got, I mean, maybe grandkids, maybe, but you know, we don't necessarily know that many kids that are in the school. So there's a lot of kids out there that get passed over if you just rely totally on nominations. So that's why we kind of go a little bit above and beyond to try to reach out and get some of these other people. Hopefully, we get enough nominations that we can go through possibly an interview process to figure out we're limited. Each club has a limit on how many people they can fund and send. We have a limit of 100 total for the district. Sounds like we're going to fill up. We do it at Rocky Mountain College at Springdale, which is an experiential-based campus.
In Glenwood Springs.
In Glenwood Springs. The staff there runs the program for us, so it's a contract type operation, but they run the program for us. We begin, everybody comes in on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and leave and go home on Monday. We begin, we have an inspirational speak. This is the guy that runs the program, Johan. He puts it together, and then he has counselors that work with him with individual groups. But they begin with a bunch of outdoor activities, bringing everybody together, because these are kids from across southern Colorado, don't know each other before they get there, unless they came from the same club, same community. Most of them don't know each other. So they bring them together here and they start this building relationships begins right there. They do all kinds of exercises, but it's most of it's outdoors. They break up into smaller groups. With 100, I think they've gone to 5 groups, 20 per group, and each group has one of the staff counselors that runs the operation for that particular group. They do an awful lot of their activities from there on. They run 4 modules, okay? We run a module that's Rotary, ethics, and me. So that's how, and that's basically a classroom type of a module. They do a good job. They learn about Rotary. They talk about Rotary. They go through a lot of ethical situations, understanding how their ethics might be different from the person sitting next to them, and how the world works. They do a high ropes. Basically, the high ropes is overcoming personal challenges. If I'm afraid of something, you're afraid of something, maybe we can figure out a way to get through this thing together. I've seen 1 or 2 that really couldn't quite get there, but for the most part, everybody does, and it's a pretty amazing thing to see them overcome those personal fears of getting up off the ground and putting your personal health in somebody else's hands. They do a low ropes. That's a problem-solving session. I think probably most everybody's familiar with all the different kinds of low ropes, different activities that they do. Following the low ropes, they do an orienteering, and that is they learn how to take a compass, they learn how to pace, they learn how to take a map. They break up into small individual groups of 4, and they have a track that they have to follow around and find certain points on the ground out there. So they learn how to work together in a small group and what each individual's strengths and how they come together in that team. And then they're all building these relationships throughout the day. They're meeting people they haven't met before. They have some downtime. They have a little bit of free time at the dorm. So they get together and they play all kinds of games. They do those kind of things. We wind it up with I guess I'd call it a mentoring dinner. They dress up. We ask them to dress up nice. Each table has a Rotarian at the table, and then however many of the attendees might be there. And we talk about intergenerational differences, because what's important in their lives and what's important when we were that age, or what since we were that age, how that has impacted us. For instance, the internet. Most of us, there wasn't any internet. For them to grow up with it, unless they know it when they're 2 or 3 years old, if not before. Things like that. So we talk about that at that dinner, and we have a motivational speaker at that dinner. So that's kind of how our program works. Like Warren said, it's a contracted program. The thing that we're looking at now is trying to bring back some of those, the alumni, bringing them into the program either as co-counselors or maybe even as a second, a follow-up year to it. Maybe you come back the second year, you come 1 year, come back the second year. What we ask them to do is when you leave here, you go back to your club, you tell your club what it was, what did you learn here, and how you're going to implement it. And then some clubs ask them to come back again in the fall or maybe even the next year and tell us, okay, you went to RILA, we invested $350 in you, what did we get for it?
I created the New Generations collaboration with the 8 clubs to try to direct and some of the questions and come up with solutions to supporting our youth. One of the things that we're looking at doing this year, we started it initially last year. I was kind of taken aback that out of 8 clubs, we only had 1 Interact club in all of the city, and we have 30-something high schools in the Pikes Peak area, and that club was inactive. And so we've gone back in the last year, we've opened the door for 2 clubs, and we started, and 2 more that are in development, and that's been a direct result of the RILA program. We formed what we call our Rotary Youth Advisory Council. We sent 19 kids to RILA from our area last year. These kids come back, and we do a graduation certificates program that we're going to be doing this year, and then they will that'll be at one of the events. My club, the Garden of God's Club, does what we call a foreign exchange student luncheon, and we invite all the foreign exchange students in the area, whether they're Rotarians or not, and invite them to lunch. They come and they learn from each other, and some of them are from the same country and don't know each other, so it's kind of a unique thing. But it also, I think, it opens it gives us an opportunity to introduce them to Rotary and some of the programs. So we want to utilize that vehicle more and utilize our Youth Advisory Council to introduce them. Because when they leave, and like in many of the cases, and this has been the case in the past for us, we send kids to these programs and then we never see them again. So we want to enroll them and engage them in being involved with Rotary and this Interact, getting them some training, come back, get involved in starting an Interact club, and then keeping them again active for future programs within Rotary. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.